We've worked our whole lives, saved and invested just to achieve financial freedom, and been led to believe that instead of painting the perfect financial picture, everyone's plan is the same. But the truth is, no one is like you, and you deserve a financial strategy just as unique as you are. How do you navigate the complexities and volatility of a financial environment that just never sits still? And how do you find the guidance you need? Who do you trust with the wisdom to paint your financial masterpiece? You've arrived. This is the Wealth Council. Thanks for joining us on the Wealth Council. I'm Brad Johansson, and we're going to talk a little bit about a number. All of you out there are looking for a number, but we want to tell you that maybe there's a lump sum illusion that you've been under. Joining me, independent advisors from around the country. Mark Henry out of the Carolinas, Brad Olson out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Rebecca Walzer out of Tampa. So great to have you guys here. When I throw out a lump sum illusion, Mark, what comes to mind? Because people are talking about a number I need to retire with.
Yeah, what comes to mind is that commercial that used to run by some bank that's, of course, out of business, probably from the commercial. But it was like they had a sign and the person walking around, "What's your number? What's your number?" No. And
I remember these.
It is literally one of the craziest ideas ever, because there's not some number that will make you successful in retirement. It just doesn't work that way. It used to be you had to have $1 million, have to have $2 million. It's ridiculous. I have seen people with multiple millions of dollars that, in my professional opinion, would not be successful in retirement, while I personally have clients that most people would believe didn't save enough for retirement, that unless something like catastrophic, like long-term care or something comes their way, they'll leave money to nieces, nephews, and grandkids. So it has nothing to do with a number.
Most people make the mistake that we've seen, make the mistake of looking at the number, right, and thinking that's all their money. And very often, there's money, investments in qualified plans that they haven't paid tax on. So there's a big tax debt in a lot of that. And in order to use it, you have to pay tax on it. It's not about the number. A bigger number probably helps, but it's about the income that can be generated off that, the after-tax income. And taxation is becoming more and more and more.
It's about the lifestyle important expectation.
Rebecca, you love to talk about our partner in the government with these things, which is why there is an allusion to the lump sum that we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, as a tax lawyer, I do understand and love this topic. And I'll just touch on what both Mark and Brad have said. Mark basically said it's not about how much you have, it's about how much you're spending. And therefore, what we need first is to understand what your cash flow needs are. And then we can determine where and how much do we have to have. But we will only do that through a tax lens, understanding that Uncle Sam is your silent partner in that pre-tax qualified account, which most Americans have traditionally saved in the 401k or the IRA since the 1980s, when we made that shift to defined contribution versus defined benefit pension. And so really and truly, the number one thing that we are shocked every single day, and it should stop shocking us, but people do not know how much they spend, Brad. They come in, we say, what do you need? How much are you spending now? Do you know how many people do not and cannot tell me how much they actually spend on an annual basis? Right. We have to send them a budgeting tool so they can actually, and then they say, oh my gosh, I have this subscription, that subscription, this subscription, I forgot all about these.
Which leads us to, I don't have a plan kind of thing, right?
They don't have a plan. And it's very common. That's the two most common misconceptions when people come in our office is they don't know how much they spend and they don't know how much tax they're going to owe on it. And both of those can be enhanced and helped by a tax plan.
But Brad, wouldn't you agree, and Rebecca, that it's because the current firm, great firms that they're working with, does not help them in this regard. They do one thing. They invest their money. But they don't talk to them about how taxes will affect them. Oh, that's somebody else. Go see them. Or they don't talk to them about how much they'll need to spend and where it's going to come from and how do you get it. And like, well, you get it from your portfolio. No, wait a second. Yeah. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but when the portfolio's down, I thought the idea was to buy low, sell high, not sell low, right? I mean, we have to have actual real planning, and it's simply completely overlooked by the big box firms.
Yeah.
I just have to jump in, Brad, on what Mark just said, because I got to say, as a tax lawyer who runs a wealth management practice, which is kind of unique in the country, there's not that many of us, we are always talking about strategic tax planning and what can we do now to buy the IRS out on the cheapest cents on the dollar. And let me tell you something, when these people go back to start bringing their funds over to switch to us, do you know, and I hate to say this, but do you know that Wall Street has a concerted effort to not have people tax strategize and tax advantage their accounts, because that will take money away from what they're managing in the market, and they get paid on what they're managing in the market.
So they
don't want you to fix your tax problem.
They're specifically prohibited from talking to their clients about tax planning, just because of the very reason that Rebecca talked about.
Yeah, when you think about, do you need, and again, it doesn't, I never want to sound like I'm bashing somebody, but when you get to that, the people that got you to the mountain, you know, they got you from 25 to 55, they were probably great. But the rules change when you start moving into an area where you're going to start using this money. And if your advisor doesn't help you with advanced tax planning, if they don't help you with decisions about where your income's going to come from, and it's reliable, and it comes every month, if they don't talk to you about spending and all the other aspects of retirement, you may need somebody else.
As a tax advisor, Rebecca, forgive me, Brad, but
okay.
Isn't this the most advantageous time for people to be using so many things?
Well, I got to say that as we know, we are approaching the full retirement of the baby boomers. We have literally 99% of them retired by 2028. We already know what will happen once the boomers fully move on to Social Security and Medicare. So this is the last remaining years where we do potentially have a really low tax base where we can get those dollars out for the cheapest cents on the dollar.
No question about it.
It's really important, and what I was going to say before is part of the planning process, talking about income, talking about reliability of income, is to set up an income engine, a part of the portfolio that is insulated from ups and downs in the market. So you have a place to go.
Legislative risk, the risk of them changing things on us that are unexpected. And it happens every day.
If you're under an illusion, let's join reality. Get a plan that includes an in-depth analysis of your current plan, maybe. Do the risks align with your age, with your current goals? That's right. Fees, are you currently paying them? Are they in line with what you're receiving? Are there opportunities to reduce taxation on your qualified accounts? Take a look at the Social Security Maximization Report. Do you want all of this stuff? The Wealth Council has that for you. Planning begins right now. Call the number on your screen. Click the QR code. Take advantage of the Wealth Council's wisdom. Call now. We'll be right back.
For your free Social Security maximization guide from the Wealth Council, call 844-463-3466. Taking part in getting the most from your Social Security with this guide costs you nothing. Not taking part can cost you and your spouse a lot. Discover strategies that fit your unique situation and help you make the most of every dollar. Call for your free Social Security maximization guide from the Wealth Council, 844-463-3466, or scan the QR code below from your smartphone camera.
Welcome back to the Wealth Council. I'm Brad Johansson. As you approach retirement, have you thought about, man, I wish I could retire like my grandparents did? We think back to those days, how easy it might have been, if you can even remember back to those days. Well, times have changed. We've got independent advisors from around the country. Chris Bowman out of California, Joe Wilson out of Cincinnati. Joe, why is this so different than what our grandparents did?
And it really is, if you think about it, and there's over 36 trillion reasons why. 36 trillion is the amount of money sitting right now and what the industry calls qualified accounts. It's retirement accounts. It's 401ks and 403bs and IRAs. And let's be honest, our grandparents probably really didn't have much of that. Most of the time, they got a nice watch if they worked for a company for 30, 40 years, and they received mailbox money, a check that came in the mail every 2 weeks from their pension.
Didn't have to think about it.
You probably put a little extra money aside, had some checking accounts, some savings accounts, some CDs, probably a handful of stock accounts, but it's really different, and that's because Congress changed some rules back in the late 70s, early 80s, and put the weight now on what we call the modern retiree. Now saving every 2 weeks into their account so they can have their own nest egg to hopefully one day retire.
Yeah, and you talk about that almost $40 trillion.
Yeah.
That's really, what is that? That's a pension for the United States government, is it not?
Well, it's a tax circle on that back.
That's right, which pays them income every year that they want it at the rate that they want it. So that's a pension.
All right, I want to know, it's not. All right, if times have changed, give me some strategies that can make it feel more like my grandparents did when they felt it was easy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would suggest, there's about a 3% chance that your house is going to burn down, you're going to be in an accident, or you're going to die this year. But we insure all those things. So one of the things I'd like to encourage people think about is, should we be insuring our retirement? And less than 20% of people insure their retirement.
Explain that. What does that mean?
Well, there are a lot of different investments that you can use in your retirement so that you can set up guaranteed income streams, for example. You can set up ways that you can structure ETFs so that they have insurance built in, so that you have buffers in your downside, or else downside protection.
When you think about retirement assets, you've amassed this money, and the goal for that money when you walk out of that company for the last time is to never work again.
Right.
Never, unless you want to.
I just want to do it once.
The challenge is if you retire at the wrong time, you can do everything right. And if you don't set a hedge up on what we like to call an income bucket, you segment part of your accounts to do one thing, provide income. And you can do that many different ways, using sophisticated option strategies, alternative asset classes. But you have that set there to beat inflation, to be a hedge against market risk that happens and will happen over a 30-year retirement. It's so important to do that because that's really what our grandparents had with the pension. And you isolate that, and then you allow the other money to do other things and grow and do what you want. It's when you don't hedge, that's when you're at the risk and the helm of the market. And that's what our grandparents didn't have to do because they had the pensions.
Yeah, for example, there are investments out there, whether they're ETF strategies or insurance company strategies.
Yes.
It's almost like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You want to participate, right? When the market's going up, when we're in a bull market, everyone wants to be involved. But as soon as it turns, it all of a sudden doesn't feel so good. It always feels worse when the market drops than the good feeling we have when it goes up. So if we can be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, wouldn't that be great? And there are investments where you can be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. There are investments where you can participate when the market climbs, but you're out of the market when the market drops. And those are things you should know about.
strategies. We're looking at, when you talk about insurance, and isn't that what we're all after? Especially once we've done this for 40 years, to ensure that, did I work for nothing, or did I work to be able to do what I actually want to do when I'm done?
I think when we sit down with folks, what we really hear all the time is, am I going to be okay? And that's peace of mind.
Yeah.
And the peace of mind comes from having a plan and having it structured where you know where you're going to get income. Income that you know when you walk out of that job, you're going to have as long as you have breath in your body. Once you have that planned out, and that's what we do here at the Wealth Council, earmark, here's what you've saved. How do we set up an income engine? How do we now set up growth engine? How do we do it most tax efficiently? Those are challenges that our grandparents really didn't have to face. Why? They weren't at a $36 trillion debt growing right every year.
Yeah.
Those are analogies that we have to set up and look at so folks can have the retirement.
I think what you guys are saying is we can have our grandparents' retirement?
We can, absolutely. There are tools available, and I think you need to be open to the possibility that there are tools available to solve problems that you don't even know you have. And I think that's should give people hope out there. Another thing I'll say, as far as insurance goes, I know when I was younger, I didn't think I needed insurance. As I started having children, I have 4 sons, a wife, I needed insurance, right, to protect my income when I'm gone. Well, now, as I fast forward later, I know that I need income protection as I get closer and closer to retirement, and I know that from doing financial plans for 1,000 people to see what they need in their retirement.
So do you have a plan? Would you like it to be like your grandparents' plan? Would you like it to be better? How about a written financial plan from the Wealth Council? This will prepare for you everything that you need to put in that retirement that you've always dreamed of, to make it easy. Maybe a little bit of insurance that you've been looking for. Reduce taxation on your qualified accounts. Look at Social Security maximization reports. Put everything that you have in a plan that works for you. Call now. We'll leave no stone unturned to try and figure out how we can help you with your dream retirement. But all you have to do is make that call. Click the QR code on your screen. Let's make it your grandparents' retirement. Let's make it even better. Call now. And the Wealth Council returns after this.
Are you preparing to make your retirement funds work for you while not taking too much risk? While there is no substitute for sitting down with an independent financial advisor, why don't you learn the strategies of investing as well? Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now to learn about investment strategies that align with your goals. Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now. 844-463-3466. That's 844-463-3466.
Welcome back to the Wealth Council. I'm Brad Johansson with the Advisor Spotlight. Chris Bowman out of California. Nice to be with you.
Good to be here.
I want to take you back a few years. Some people have a hard time starting out in business. Man, your circumstances were especially difficult for you. You started right before 9/11?
Yeah, 23 years ago, changing jobs, changing careers, leaving a company where I was a vice president, moving across the country to California from the Midwest to become a financial advisor. And boy, a few days later, this was September 3rd when I started my journey. A few days later, 9/11 happened. And I get a phone call that morning from my good buddy in Kansas City. He said, "Wake up, turn on your TV." I didn't have a TV because my movers hadn't shown up.
Oh my gosh.
So I went to Walmart and I watched 9/11 unfold on 40, 50 TVs across the aisles at Walmart.
It's difficult at that time for anybody to start a business. I think you have some stats even on how difficult it is for advisors to last 2 years in the business.
Yeah, I mean, about 10% of advisors will make it 2 years in the business or longer. The rest basically can't make it. It's a very difficult business to start.
And then throw those circumstances on top of it.
Throw 9/11 in, you're probably less than 0.5% that started during that time frame make it in the business. So for me, it was all about just seeing what everyone was going through, including my own family. My father had just retired a couple of years earlier. What's happening with his portfolio? I ended up having to ask my father to go back to work.
Well, the market dropped.
The market dropped. The market closed. I mean, when does the stock market close? It closed for quite a while. So holding people's hands, letting them know it's going to be okay, letting them know that the market's going to come back eventually, and here are the things we can do. But at this point, people were already in the market. So one of the big learnings from that was how can we protect people's accounts going forward? Because in the next 23 years, we had 2008, which is another 40, 50% drop, depending on how you're invested. We had 2018 was a big drop. We had 2020 COVID dropped a ton just in 30 days. And so there's always something stirring behind the scenes that we don't know. Right now, there's something stirring that we don't know, whether it's a war in another country, whether it's something to do with our banking system. There's something, and I think it's important that I'm there and that leaders in the financial industry are there to help people and make sure that they're protected and ready for whatever's coming next.
So you talked about how your family was affected and how so many were affected that we don't even know about, because everybody has a story. And I know that the basis to yours is your family, father of four. This is about finding passion and then supporting passion of families. That's what you're working for.
Yeah, I mean, everything we do and what we believe in our office is about family and lifestyle. So I want to make sure that my clients have the lifestyle that they want in retirement, and they have a financial plan that's built to sustain the lifestyle that they're looking for. I want my own family to have that. I want every employee in my office to have the lifestyle and the family that they want to have, and we want to support that. We encourage people in our office to work enough hours that they can, do their job, but we don't need 60, 80 hours a week. We want them to be home with their families, and we want all of our clients to be with their families and not be worried and stressed about what's happening in the stock markets. That's what we're there for, is to hold their hand, build a plan, and make sure that they can make it through.
Well, you're making a difference in a lot of lives, and throughout that process, it's fun to watch.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us. Appreciate you being with us. The Wealth Council continues after this.
Is your pension fund healthy? Leaving your financial future in the hands of corporate managers could be a mistake. Find out more coming up next.
Are you preparing to make your retirement funds work for you while not taking too much risk? While there is no substitute for sitting down with an independent financial advisor, why don't you learn the strategies of investing as well? Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now to learn about investment strategies that align with your goals. Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now. 844-463-3466. That's 844-463-3466.
Welcome back to the Wealth Council. I'm Brad Johansson, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that many of you still have and are dealing with: pensions. A lot of them have gone away, but many of you are still in them. And the question is, are they healthy? We're talking to independent advisors all around the country right now. Mitch Lyons joining us from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Out of the Carolinas, Mark Henry. Gentlemen, I'll throw this to you, Mitch. Are we in a healthy state with pensions right now? Should people be worried about where they are with this?
Well, statistics would say otherwise, that we're not in a good spot. A lot of pensions are underfunded. We've seen the news lately with California pension system for the teachers is underwater.
Yellow Freight going bankrupt.
Yellow Freight. So it's a problem, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And people need to be aware of it, and they need to make plans accordingly, given the circumstances.
You're concerned, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The world's upside down. I think most people understand that. But the idea that you worked 30 years for a company and we're still one of the lucky ones, you taught school, let's say, in California for 30 years, and you're still going to get a pension. That is such a remarkable thing. That's why you accepted lower pay maybe than another job might have given you.
Sure.
But now the numbers I'm hearing is $30 billion they're going to have to borrow to try to keep this thing solvent and stuff. This is unbelievable.
And that's not the only state with a problem.
Oh, no. They're all across. It's one that's reported. It's big numbers, so
Sure.
it's reported. But the idea is, I can't even imagine that you're lucky enough, whether it's $1,000 a month or $5,000, whatever the pension size is, you earned it. And now that you're approaching retirement or you're in retirement receiving it and it may not last, that's just, I can't even imagine the fear that puts in people.
Oh, okay, there's a problem out there. Is there a solution in dealing with a plan?
There can be, depending on when we catch you, right? If you haven't made that election yet as to what pension option you're going to take, you have a lot of different options, whether it's single life or joint life, 50% survivor, 100% survivor, and so on. But a lot of plans will offer a lump sum option. And if you think about that, people, sometimes that scares them because then they have to take on the onus of making some decisions. But the reality of it is, it takes it from being a company asset and it brings it over and makes your family's asset. And now you can dictate and we can show folks how to create their own personalized pension where get a lifetime income that increases over time and not be at risk of the company not being able to meet their need or meet their obligations.
Well, there's so much misinformation when it comes to these pension selection choices. You have maybe an HR person that wants to help you make that decision. How qualified are they? Not being mean to the HR department, but they don't have expertise in this area.
Fair enough.
And then the misinformation of, well, if I take a lump sum, these taxes are going to be exorbitant. I can't do that. But they don't have to be taxed. That can be a direct rollover. It can be a transfer. There's ways to do it and allow you to control your money and remove it from the big firm, the big management that maybe be mismanaged, and put it in your own hands.
Do you understand you're making people wide-eyed right now? Because I go to your point, Mitch, of saying people are going to have to make a decision. And part of what's set up with the pensions is that, hey, we'll do this for you. And for a lot of years, people have been under the auspice of, we're doing it for you.
Right.
Now, at this point with the danger, there's something that needs to be done by you if you're going to save what you have, correct?
No doubt.
No question about it. And, I say this all the time to people. It's like becoming, the CEO of your health. Doctors are great. We need them. But you have to be the CEO. You have to make decisions. When it comes to your finances, you can rely on partners to help you. That's great. But at the end of the day, it's your money. It's your decision, and you have to become the CEO. So that's where you get information. You create a plan to help you do that, and then you make good decisions.
How does a written financial plan with a pension actually work if you're going to make decisions for yourself?
Well, sure. It's part of a holistic plan, taking a look at all your buckets, right? Your pension, your 401k,
Everything.
maybe your 403b, whatever it might be, your IRAs, and seeing how those work together from a tax efficiency standpoint, from a market protection standpoint. And, the do-it-yourself thing, can work to a point. Those people that just throw it in an index fund and let their money grow over 30, 40 years, and you've got time to ride the waves. But when you're in that retirement red zone, that 5 years before or after you retire, that's a critical time. And you don't want to take the chances. So to come in and actually have a plan and create a plan to create the income you need, it's not about the assets you have, it's about the income they can create, and do it as optimally as we can. And we can do that with a financial plan, incorporating all your assets and then showing you the way to do that.
When you work with the right planner, Brad, it's a holistic plan. And many times when you look at these pensions, sometimes we recommend they keep it and don't take, because there's not
that may be the best option.
It may be the best option, and that's what you want to do. You want to put all the information on the table, look at it from not a 1-foot view, but a 20,000-foot view where you can say, okay, if I do this, this is where it leads. If I do this, this is where it leads. And you make the right decision for your family. Remember, it's your money. It doesn't belong to that company. You slaved there for 30 years to get it. Now it's time to enjoy it. and do what's best for you.
Okay, no more sticking your head in the sand, I think is what's being said at this point. You have to make a decision, but that may mean that you need to take a look at benefits analysis.
Yes.
How about we help provide that for you? And the Wealth Council will leave no stone unturned so that we can build a written financial plan that is just for you. Not what your company planned for you. This is what you want. To receive the Wealth Council written financial plan right now, you got to do something. Pick up the phone and call, or click the QR code on your screen. The number below may be the best number you reach for your financial future. Get your written financial plan from the Wealth Council right now. Council returns after that.
Are you preparing to make your retirement funds work for you while not taking too much risk? While there is no substitute for sitting down with an independent financial advisor, why don't you learn the strategies of investing as well? Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now to learn about investment strategies that align with your goals. Call for your free retirement investing guide from the Wealth Council right now. 844-463-3466. That's 844-463-3466.
The summer winds affect us all, don't they? Winds of opportunity, of difficulty and change. Now, where you end up depends on how you set the sail. Same is true in retirement. How well have you planned? Do you even have a plan? Maybe it's time to reset your sail. Call now. Claim your written financial plan and let the Wealth Council help you set your sail for the retirement you've always dreamed about. Call or click the QR code right now. The winds are changing. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm Brad Johansson, and until next time, remember, it's the Council's wisdom